it right or will it pay? It's only one only then be on Friday. So it's a round, turn away, fine. Don't make it right, now to get time. Couple queens with the money, so let's get their heads into the board. I'm honestly on the neck, but it's unfair for any up and fight. All people miss a swing, all people miss a swing. Dino hockey, Dino hockey, Dino hockey, Dino hockey. Vacancy, 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 vacancy. Everybody will have anybody's bad at all. People miss a swing, Dino hockey, vacancy. Never will have fucked up, fighting like you will pay. It's only over, no, these numbers free on Friday. So fiddle up, just wait, fine. So we make it more, now a good time. Wilma!
Alright, there we go. Some classic Spazztic Blurr, Bedrock Blurr from the album, before the album, after the album. We got a guest waiting backstage. I think you all know who it is. I'll bring him on here in a minute, but just let me do a quick announcements real quick. We can get through this real fast. If you're going to be up late, Johnny Hill Preacher has this show going tonight on his channel, or not even a channel, what is this? His own website, whatever the hell that is. Find it right there. Johnny Hill Preacher, go watch that after we're done. He rules. And then Friday night coming up on Jamming Out All Badass, we got fucking San Antonio's own Bloody Freddy from Blood Spill, Miscarriage, Green Reaper, The Blend. You forgot to put The Blend, buddy. And cool dude, been in the underground music here since the fucking 80s. Another guy from San Antonio that fucking rules. And then on Saturday night on the Witching Hour, we got artist extraordinaire Mark Riddick of the Riddick Brothers. I know both of them guys, Mark and Mike, but Mark will be here. We're gonna have a fun show just discussing things we enjoy in art, metal, and whatever the hell we want to bring up. So keep your eyes out on that. So okay, after all those announcements, let's bring our guest on, Burger King Eric from Spazztic Blurr. Here we go. What's up, Eric?
How's it going, man?
All right, my first question is, Burger King Eric, obviously you like Burger King, so where does this whole nickname start? Were you like eating Burger King every day, or what was going on there?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, we were all just idiotic kids back then. We were still in high school when we formed Spazztic, and we would practice at my house, or I should say my mom's house, because obviously I was still living at home. We were all still in school,
Uh-huh.
And so frequently after school, I'd stop off at Burger King and get something to eat. Got to fill up for practice and all that kind of stuff. And so it just kind of stuck. I mean, we kind of came up with nicknames for all four of us. We had those Garbage Blur kids. Some people might remember some of those Garbage Blur kids artwork. It's on the inside sleeve of the album and whatnot. And so we had these different nicknames that we kind of, because Garbage Pail Kids were pretty.
Yeah, that was the thing back
big.
then.
They were pretty big back then, right? And so, we had, Marco Sharko. That's where the whole Marco Sharko thing came up. There was no Marco Sharko, but, with relation to Wehrmacht. It came out of really Spazztic Blurr.
I did not know that. That's a good one. Yeah, wow.
And then we had Tapehead Tito, because Tito was all about listening to tapes and cassettes and, all new music and all that kind of stuff. Dave, he was booger-based Dave, because he had, he would always blow snot, out of his nose all the time. He was like dripping on his bass and shit like that. So, and then Burger King Eric for me, and so we had our good friend Bub Johnson, who did a lot of artwork for us. Came up with some of the drawings and stuff as well. Did Marco and whatnot. So, it just kind of went from there. And like I said, we were just a bunch of dumbasses. What can you say?
Yeah, I totally remember my teenage years like that. As I told you earlier, I used to correspond with Tito.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the one that said, hey, check out this other band I'm doing, Spazztic Blurr. And he sent the demo down to me. And I was like, holy shit, this rules. And, back then, in my mind, that was some of the fastest shit I ever heard, Like, like what did we have back then? Larm and Napalm Death and stuff like that. That the grinding stuff, all that.
Water, yeah.
And I was like, but to me, it was more American because it was funner. It
Yeah.
wasn't, like you guys are thinking about Burger King and the Flintstones and all that stuff. And I'm like, as a kid, I'm like, hey man, I get this. A teenager, I get this. This is right up my alley because it was basically my life too. I'm watching the fucking Flintstones when I get home from school and all that. And,
Yeah, that was that. I mean, that was us. We didn't want to be too serious about it. So many bands, especially at that time, were like, being all serious about shit they were singing about. And it's like, we got to be punk, or we got to be hardcore, or we got to, sing about death or thrash,
death
or
metal, yeah.
Yeah, it was just all that kind of stuff. And we all grew up watching Hanna-Barbera cartoons, on Saturday mornings, and the Flintstones and Scooby-Doo and Super Friends, shit like that, eating cereal, sitting in front of the TV after school and shit. And
dude, cereal was part of the diet back then.
Yeah, absolutely was.
More sugar, the better.
Yeah, and so we just kind of, the demo and then later on the album were just really just full of inside jokes, that stuff that we would just laugh about when we were hanging out. Like nobody knew. I don't think very many people knew like what the hell we were singing about on half of these songs. But there was absolutely a story behind everything. So.
Are you back?
Yeah, I'm back. Yeah.
Okay, it might be my end. I have these cable drops out of the blue sometimes, so if it happens, just hang on.
Yeah.
I'll be back. All right, but we're back. So continue.
Okay, cool. No, so I was just saying, I think a lot of people had no idea what the hell we were singing about because they were all just full of inside jokes, but every song on the demo, every song on the album, had a story behind it, and we laughed about it like crazy. But most people were probably like, what the fuck are these guys talking about? Everything from Fuck Yeah to He Not a Home to Vogue Jonesin to Call In Sick. They all had like personal stories that we knew about, but nobody knew what the hell we were singing about.
Yeah, I mean, that was great. And I think, we obviously knew they were some type of inside jokes, but, who cares? We would just start singing along with it,
Mm-hmm.
I ate at Burger King and I loved it.
Yeah,
and
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, we're driving and there's fucking Burger King and we're listening to Spazztic Blurr. Well, why not? We're going to go to Burger King now.
Right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, totally.
So what was the inspiration to get together? Because I know Wehrmacht was going on already. Yep. So how did you guys like kind of figure this out and make this work back then?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I'm going to be brutally honest here, and probably not very many people have heard this story, but this is the God's honest truth.
All right.
So really, the song "Images" is what started Spazztic Blurr. So kind of what happened was Marco was writing Images, and he was super stoked about it, and brought it to the Wehrmacht guys. Now, what would usually happen when Wehrmacht was writing is Marco would come up with stuff and whatever, and he would get together a lot with Brian, like just the two of them, because a lot of their stuff too was also really complicated, super duper fast. And so Brian and Marco would kind of write together, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so Marco actually initially brought Images to Wehrmacht, and Brian didn't like it. He just, for whatever reason, did not like that song and did not want to play it. And it kind of ticked Marco off a little bit. And he was like, well, if you're not going to play it, I'm going to do something over here and do it, because I'm not going to just sit on this kind of stuff. I think there was some other stuff too, like Fuck Yeah and things like that, that he was like, it really kind of getting a lot more experimental as opposed to just like the straight ahead, like, down the middle thrash.
Yeah, Wehrmacht was hard and heavy.
They were pretty, down the center. And so there was a house that we all used to party at called the Death House. It was actually my brother's house. And it was kind of like ground zero for a lot of the thrash metal community back then. Like there were some house parties where like Wehrmacht played in the living room and shit like that. And we were just kind of destroyers back then. And so Tito and Marco and Dave had been talking about it and everything, but they didn't have a drummer. And they came to me and was like, hey, would you be interested playing drums for this. Now, I don't know why they asked me, because I had never played drums in my life. So
What?
why they asked me to play drums for Spazztic Blurr, I have no clue. And I
Wow.
was so naturally, because I didn't know how to play drums, I was like, fuck yeah, I'll do it. So I remember going home, and of course, again, you got to remember we were all still in high school, and so I went home and said to my mom, I want to buy a drum set. I want to play drums. And so she was like, I said, will you co-sign a loan for me to buy a drum set? And she said, I will co-sign a loan for you to buy a drum set, but you have to be responsible and make those payments. And so we went to Horseshoe Music on the corner of 39th and Division in Southeast Portland. I saw the drum set that I wanted. She co-signed the loan. I came home with the drum set. And I just started, I remember it was $42 a month for like, I don't know, 3 years or something like that. And I made every goddamn payment on that drum set. And so I just set the drum set up in our basement and just started listening to stuff that I liked and tried to just play along with it with like headphones on and just I figured it out. I've never had a drum lesson in my life. I'm completely self-taught. And honestly, we recorded the Bedrock Blur demo after about 6 months. I'd only been playing about 6 months when we recorded the Bedrock Blur demo. So I was like, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. But
what type of stuff did you listen to kind of, see what you wanted to?
Yeah, a lot of the typical stuff, Kill 'Em All, Slayer, of course. I was at the time really into like Ludacris.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah, Ludacris. There was Mucky Pup and Crumbsuckers and DRI and Poison Idea. Just Death Angel, Dark Angel, anything with an angel.
Yeah, that's true back then. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I just kind of taught myself. And I remember those early rehearsals. They kept just egging me on. You got to play faster. You got to play faster. You got to play faster. So like every day I would come home from school and I would just head straight after stopping off at Burger King. I would go straight down into the basement and just drum for hours and hours and hours until they would come over for band practice. And then I would drum some more and just,
Wow. So you were getting warmed up way before they were showing up, huh?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I would go down there and just play, as soon as that bell rung after school, I would just get home as fast as I could, start playing and just wait for the guys to show up. And we just kind of went, from there. But yeah, like I said, I'd only been playing drums for about 6 months when we recorded that Bedrock Blur demo, which when I think about it is kind of insane. But
that's really insane, man.
Yeah.
I see. In my mind, I thought you were like the other hotshot drummer in Portland that no one knew about. You were the secret weapon, that they brought in to be drum. I didn't have no idea. Wow, that's really amazing that you pulled that off too.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Because that's like some of the fastest stuff back then. Bedrock.
Yeah,
was that 86?
Yeah, 86 is when we recorded the demo, and and we were going for that. We were like, we wanted to be the fastest band out there that could blow past everybody, but we were going to sing about stupid shit like the Flintstones and
yeah, of course,
like that, So
now, were y'all also doing teenage shenanigans back then? Like.
Yeah.
Terrorizing the neighborhood and doing all that stuff.
Because
that was part of the 80s routine, right?
It really is. We were destroyers back then, it's just doing, just dumbass shit. Lots of drugs, lots of drinking, partying all the time. It's just what we all did, But, the bond that we formed back then, like I said, I still talk to those guys all the time. Here we are in 2025. And they are, Tito, Marco, those guys. They're still some of my oldest and best friends. I love them like brothers. That kind of stuff just always stuck.
Dude, I apologize again about this.
No, it's okay.
Connection interruptions. It drives me crazy because it did it to me the other night too. I thought I had it cleared up with the cable company, and here we go again. I'm live. Let's start, crashing out.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, that was just part of the heavy metal punk thrash culture back then. It's just what we did. We went out and
it was, and and what I was saying when the connection kind of dropped a little bit, and I don't know if that went through or not, but saying the bonds that we formed back then, stuck, and I'm still friends with those guys today. I talk to him all the time. I was just texting with him the other day. I love them like brothers. They're some of my oldest friends, and that'll never change.
Yeah, there's a couple guys from my early days. I mean, I'm still friends with them. We still talk, and that's good because
Yeah.
those people can't be All right, sorry. I don't know
No,
what's
that's all
going
right.
on. This is the worst it's been in a while. Anyway, yeah, I was trying to say like those type of friendships and those days can't be brought back, from
Nope.
or you can't replace them.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, totally, 100%.
Yes, Spectrum is at it again. That's our cable service. Yeah, I know it's embarrassing for me too, Disguster. But cable keep dropping out like nothing. I want this interview to be awesome. Anyway,
Yeah.
enough. I'll just have to deal with it. Anyway, so okay, so you guys record your demo.
Yep.
Did you start playing shows or what's
Yeah, we
going on
started.
with
Yeah,
that?
yeah, we started playing shows around Portland and whatnot. And of course, back then the tape trading community was pretty in force. I mean, that's how
Oh,
Metallica,
oh,
and a lot of
oh
these
yeah.
bands. I mean, it's just, we were all trading tapes in the underground and all that kind of stuff. And that's kind of what happened with obviously the Beermocht demo for Wehrmacht, and then again with the Bedrock Blur demo for us. And then Earache Records got a hold of it over in London, and they reached out. And next thing you know, we're signed to Earache. I want to say we were the 5th band that they ever signed.
I was gonna say you had to be pretty early on the
We were pretty
Eric
early.
catalog.
Yeah, and of course we all know now Earache is like a massive, mainstream, label, and with all different styles of music, including thrash and just the more mainstream stuff as well. But yeah, we were definitely one of the first bands, one of the pioneers on that label for sure.
Is Spazztic the first LP on Eric? Do you know if
I
that's?
believe it's the 5th, and you can tell that on the sticker on the album, which is right here. It says Mosh 5.
Let me put you
And
solo so everybody can
there
see
you go,
that.
Mosh 5. And that basically indicated that it was the 5th album on Earache.
Wow, it's pretty early.
Yeah, pretty early on.
I remember. See, I guess I lost contact with Tito. We didn't talk as much. So I was at the record store one day here in town, going through the new record. And I was like, "What the fuck? They got an album out now? Shit, man!" I was like impressed. Like damn. And I love the cover. The
Yeah,
cover's great.
yeah. So I'll just throw that up here. So yeah, we did another album in I think 2016 is when this came out, called Hello Dum Dums, right? And so this came out on FOAD Records out of Italy. As people who are familiar in the genre know that they had put out all kinds of cool stuff. All kinds of re-releases and box sets and stuff like that. And so we got with them, and it's a double album actually. With the first album being some re-recorded classics like Bedrock Blur, Let There Be Blur, Fuck Yeah, Death Metal, etc. And then we had a handful of new songs that we had written as well. There's a number on there called The Night He Came a Home, which is basically, it's kind of a play off of Halloween and Night of Pain and all of that, but it's like a sequel to He Not a Home. And so we had like 2 or 3 new songs on there as well. And then the second LP is a remastered Bedrock Blur demo. You can find copies of it out there on places like eBay and stuff like that. It was a pretty limited release. There's regular vinyl, splatter vinyl, stuff like that. So yeah, it's really really pretty cool.
Did you guys get to play? Like I just saw the Accused and things like that up there. Do you ever have any shows with them? I know.
Yeah, Accused, Corrosion of Conformity, Poison Idea.
Damn.
I mean, we played with a lot of bands back then. There's a lot of shit going on. And then when we reunited back in the mid 2010s, we also played with like Goat Whore. We played with Exodus. and stuff like that. So yeah.
I remember when Tito would, a package would come from Tito, he would always include a bunch of flyers.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, God damn, the West Coast is out of control with shows.
Yeah.
All right, well, we got Wormrock, Sacrilege BC, Possessed, The
Yeah.
Accused, Cryptic Slaughter, Excel,
Yeah.
all these bands. Like, shh,
Yeah.
we're
Yeah. I
over
mean,
here
it's
dying.
the whole big thing on the West Coast, and I've got a lot of those flyers too. Tito's probably a better and more comprehensive collector than I am. But I do have a lot of the early Spazztic Blurr flyers that were like hand drawn by Marco or hand drawn by Bub or the combination of the two. Some of the very first shows that we ever played, stuff like that. So I do have a lot of those framed, hanging around the house, stuff like that. So
So, okay, I have some, like, nerd questions I always want to ask.
yeah.
Like, who's the inspiration for a teacher on ABCs? Was that an actual teacher, or is that just like a combination of people, or?
That's a good question. I don't know that the teacher was necessarily an inspiration by anybody.
Uh-huh.
A lot of that stuff that's on the album, we kind of just did on the fly in the studio. After we signed with Earache, they sent us a bunch of money to go to the
Okay.
studio and record.
Yeah, because you had to
Probably
have that back then. Yeah.
Yeah, probably a bad decision on their part because we really took it and ran with it, But, it was the first time, when we recorded the Bedrock Blur demo, we were just in like a really small studio. It was just up the street from where we all went to school and stuff. And it wasn't much. We did it in like the whole thing, like from like setup to walking out the door with the cassette tape was probably about 10 hours. But the album,
that sounds about right for a demo back then. Yeah.
Yeah. But the album, we spent some serious time in the studio on that. And it was like our first time in like a real big studio and everything. And so we just started going nuts, like all the slide whistles and hand clapping and, shit like that. It's like we were stoned and having a good time, and just making shit up as we went and just laughing about all of it, and we wanted it to be different. We didn't want it to be the same kind of thing that everybody else was doing. And so it just really came out wacky. So the teacher, no real inspiration on that. I had a friend of mine, his name was Kevin, came in with this. And I want to say, he did some of the puking sounds and stuff like that. And, that was on Spazztic Puke. And, we were all just, of course, there's the Ace Frehley skit,
That's gold. That was,
that was
my list?
all on the fly. That was like, we didn't plan that. We didn't write it out.
So you're just sitting around and it's like, let's roll and just start going with it.
We were just goofing off, So it's really authentic, really, in that way, because we just weren't. None of it was planned. It was just all on the fly, done in the studio.
Yeah, that's funny because one of my favorite lines in that skit is when he goes, "Where's my Les Paul?"
Yeah, yeah. Nobody knew he was going to say that. I mean, we were fucking dying,
I was going to say, were you having to stop because I would start laughing if some of the shit?
We did a couple of times. We came up with the, "Where's my idol, Peter?" And we played like a clip off of Peter Chris's
Peter.
It's kind of so bad, and we're all just like, I mean, we were just, like I said, we were smoking out and having fun, and just, it was, it was good times.
Yeah, I like when Ace like what does he say? Like something like, "Turn that song off." I don't like that. No.
Yeah, I don't like that anymore. Yeah, all of that. Yeah. I think we did that. We might have done 2 takes, but I think it was mostly pretty much just like 1 take. We were just kind of goofing.
Yeah, but on top of all the the silliness going on, you guys are really like doing some killer musicianship on this, because and as usual, like teenagers are just pulling this off, and it sounds like great. Marco's shredding, you're killing it on drums, Tito's just flying on lyrics. I don't know how he did that
I
shit.
mean, honestly, Marco is an insane guitar player. Like he really is. He's incredible. The stuff that he writes and comes up with. And the thing that I love about playing with Marco too is like his tastes are so varied. A lot of guitar players that are in like the thrash metal and hardcore scene, it's like that's all they listen to. But like, and I'm the same way. I have a very wide, array of stuff that I like. And Marco's the same way. He's a huge Beatles fan. He loves Electric Light Orchestra. He's really into like 70s pop and stuff like that. He loves surf music, and so you can hear all of that kind of, funk and stuff. You can hear all of that coming out in Spaztic, because we were really trying to mesh all the different influences that we had into one just insane, nutty, super fast, crazy speedcore, kind of a thing. And really, as it turns out, we played with Mr. Bungle too, and the Bungle guys were also really big fans of Spaztic, and were influenced by us as well.
I forgot.
Yeah, in those
Tito,
early days. Yeah,
he put Mr. Bungle on one of the tapes he sent me.
yeah, yeah.
I think it's on the other side of the Spaztic demo.
Yeah. Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, that he sent me. He always talked about Mr. Bungle too.
Yeah.
He loved
Yeah.
Mr. Bungle. Yeah,
And those guys are great. And to talk about phenomenal musicians, I mean, we all know, kind of what a legend Mike Patton is, just from a vocal perspective, with Faith No More and, everything else. But, I saw Mr. Bungle when they came through Portland here, after they re-recorded the Raging Wrath of the Easter Bunny demo with Dave Lombardo and Scott Ian and all those guys, which is, if you've ever listened to it, I don't know, it's absolutely insane. One of the best records you can imagine. But I saw them when they came here, and I mean, they just, blew my mind. Just completely blew my mind.
Yeah, I mean that's probably like a perfect band for you guys, to do a show with and play.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Now, I have another guest coming on who's a big fan of Spazztic Blurr as well. But before I bring him on, I have some questions. Investigate. Okay, on the cover.
Yes.
Of whose house and whose was that, a Rolls Royce? Where was this shot at?
Yeah, this was actually shot right up the street from where my house was in Portland, in Southeast Portland, and it's a huge mansion that's right by a park, and it's kind of a famous house in Portland. It's like an old historic, like it's on the historical list of homes or something like that. And honestly, we just went up and knocked on the door and asked if we could take a picture in front of the house. And I can't remember where we got the car from, but the idea we were going with the whole Before the album, it's Before the album, was like
Before the album.
We were high rollers, like rappers, kind of thing.
Yeah, everything's going great.
Adidas and all that kind of stuff.
You got your Vans, you're living life well and all
living life. And then on the back cover of the album, as we all know, it's just after the album. After we released the album, we're homeless, living out of a van down by the railroad tracks. And this is another funny story. A lot of people don't know this. This is actually Tito's backyard.
No shit.
Yes, it is. That is actually Tito's backyard.
I did not know that. Wow.
Yeah. And so you've got Marco sitting on kind of the front above the windshield. Tito's over down there on the left. Wearing the fire engine hat is Bub, and he was like, really tight with all of us, still tight with Bub. Did a lot of artwork for us and stuff like that. And then another good friend of ours sitting up on the top in the chair is EC, and he was just another good friend of ours. But before the album and after the album. Yeah.
Having to prostitute yourselves to stay alive now and all these terrible things.
And if you scroll up really, if you do zoom in, you'll see that I think I'm holding a Burger King cup, and I think what's hanging on the window of the open door is also a Whopper box.
Oh, I see. I can see the Whopper box. Yeah,
and the hamburger is smashed against the half-eaten hamburger is smashed against the front door.
Okay, now, I wish I could zoom in on this.
Yeah,
that's great. Yeah. Man, I always wanted to know the story behind, what was going on there with because that's one of the best album covers Eric ever did. And I screw Morbid Angel, Spazztic Blurr. No, I'm just kidding. All right,
and it's kind of funny when you mention Eric too, because Eric, if you follow them on Facebook and stuff like that, they they push a lot of the early Napalm Death stuff still, and
they make so much money off of that.
Lawnmower Death and stuff like that and everything. But they never really have gone back. I mean, they did re-release the album on CD, several years ago.
Yeah, at least got that
15 years ago. But it's kind of fun. Every time I see something Eric posting on Facebook, I always go in there and I tag Spazztic on Facebook, and I just say, "What about Spazztic Blurr?"
Yeah, what about, because it deserves the, as the kids say today, the flowers. It deserves them. I mean, maybe, okay, it's not Napalm Death, but still,
still.
One of your first releases. That's like legendary. All right, I'm going to bring my buddy Francisco on now from Jamming Out All Badass. I think you might have met him. Let's bring him on.
Okay.
Hey, Francisco.
What's
Hey,
happening?
Francisco, what's up?
I was scratching my balls and recording it. Actually, I did. I booked me and my buddy Matt Romero, which I think you know.
Yes.
We booked the Wehrmacht show back in Houston in 2015, 2014.
That is right. Yeah.
Yeah, so he and I both booked that show, and I remember I think I talked to you and Marco about Spazztic probably for a little while.
Yeah, that's interesting you say that. I mean, Matt's a great dude, and I actually played bass for Wehrmacht at that show. I don't know, maybe we probably connected while we were down in Houston, but Shan could not make the trip, and so the Wehrmacht guys asked me if I would fill in on bass because I do also play bass, and so I filled in on bass at that Houston show. It was a lot of fun, man. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was. It was pretty cool. We were like, yeah, let's fucking do it. Let's bring Spazztic. And, Matt, I think Matt had gone, not Spazztic, Wehrmacht. He had gone on that little West Coast run with them, I think.
Mm-hmm.
In the van, he and Brian Pattison, rest in peace, Brian.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. So that was cool. But, I have tons of questions, Carl, but I'll be in the background right now. So,
just chime in whenever you want. I before I go further, I gotta give credit where credit's due. I gotta thank Dylan for Head Split Dylan for coordinating this interview and getting it together for me. So everybody clap for Dylan, and when you get a chance, he made this happen.
Great dude. He really is.
Yeah, Dylan rules. Thanks for doing this, Dylan. So Dylan did bring up a good point. He said he wanted to hear about Spazztic Blurr European shows. Mm-hmm. Did that happen?
Yeah, it did. So in 1991,
let's hear about them.
Yeah, so 1991. Funny thing, there's a lot of incestuous, multiple bands going on. A lot of us were in these multiple bands, and me and Brian from Wehrmacht, Dave from Spazztic, and then a couple of other guys. We formed another band called Sweaty Nipples. You may or may not be familiar with them.
I remember Sweaty Nipples. Yep.
Yeah, and so. So that we started Sweaty in I want to say 88. And Sweaty really took off. In the late 80s and early 90s, Sweaty really kind of took off and kind of left both Wehrmacht and Spazztic a little behind, right? Now, Wehrmacht had toured in Europe in, I believe, 86 after Wehrmacht came out. But they had not been back to Europe since. And so we got an offer from a promoter in Europe in 1991 that wanted to bring Wehrmacht back over, and we countered and said, we'll do it, but we want it to be both Wehrmacht and Spazztic Blurr on the bill, touring together. Because it's kind of funny, as much as we were all, some of us playing in each of those bands, Wehrmacht and Spazztic had never really played a proper show together outside of some house parties and stuff.
Wow.
And so we got booked to go on tour in Europe in December of 91. It was Wehrmacht headlining with Spazztic Blurr direct support, and then they had another band from Europe called City Pig Unit that was going to open. But Brian did not want to participate in it. Oh. And so I then started playing drums for Wehrmacht as well. So on this 1991 European tour, I was pulling double duty every show and playing drums for both Wehrmacht and Spazztic Blurr every night.
Damn, so your cardio level must have been out of this world.
Yeah, it was
two sets of those bands. Ooh.
It was pretty crazy. But yeah, we did. We went to Germany, France, Netherlands, Belgium. Kind of all over the place. I think we had I think it was about 25 shows in about 29 days or something like that. Wow. We were there over Christmas. As a matter of fact, I'm going to take this down off of my wall. I have lots of memorabilia from that tour. Let's see if I can. So this is actually a show from Europe.
Let me put this on solo so we can get a good look at all this.
Yeah,
Yeah, so this is the name of the venue was the Bat Cave, and I think you can see the reflection from the screen there. But it was actually on Christmas Day, so this was on Wednesday, December. There was it, December 25th.
Wow.
Was action going there, Spazztic Blurr, Wehrmacht. So this was in, I think, I want to say that might have been in Belgium, if I'm not mistaken. And actually, interesting thing, and I've talked about this with Tito mostly over the years. We had a guy come with us by the name of Derek, good friend of ours, and he had his video camera rolling the entire time, the entire tour.
Oh, wow.
And I took all of that footage and digitized them and got them into my computer, and I actually have a full, I want to say it's 7 DVDs. It's a 7 DVD set of that entire Wehrmacht and Spazztic Blurr tour with concert footage, backstage, us just fucking around on the bus, that kind of stuff. And we've talked about maybe trying to release it, at some point as some
That'd
kind
be
of
awesome. Yeah, I think a lot of people
or
would see
something
that.
like that. But yeah, it was great. We spent a whole month in Europe in 1991. It was awesome.
That sounds like you might be sitting on a gold mine for a
I've
lot
kind
of
of thought
people
about that. I put it all into like software, and so it's got DVD menus and all that kind of shit. Like it's like a full on, actual DVD, not just raw footage.
I think you got 2 copies sold to me in Francisco, right? So I would love to see that.
Yeah, there are on YouTube. There are a couple of clips that I did upload on YouTube, both of Wehrmacht and Spazztic, from that tour. So if you search for them, you can find a couple clips.
Yeah, it sounds like I might have seen that in the past, like the clips. But wow, whole show, and cool, and just the bus shenanigans or van shenanigans are always fun too, especially from back then. Everybody being silly and shit.
Totally.
Now I got a couple questions from the chat because one of our buddies who's a regular and he has a band called Cut Eye. He's a Hawaiian Nebraskan.
Yes.
He wants to know, are you from Nebraska originally? Because he's like, there's a lot of Nebraska going on up here.
There is. Yeah, I got my Nebraska hat on. I got my championship banner back there, and up top, got a pennant from when I went and saw Nebraska down in 1995. I went to the Fiesta Bowl when they crushed Florida for their second straight national championship. But yeah, I was actually born in Iowa. I was born in Sioux City, Iowa, but only lived there for like a year. We moved to Bellevue, Nebraska, which is like a suburb of Omaha.
Okay.
And then we moved out here to Portland when I was in between 7th and 8th grade, and I've been here ever since. Yeah.
Okay. So it holds a place in your heart and all.
Oh,
that.
absolutely.
Gotcha.
I'm a huge Nebraska fan.
Now here is a very serious question of the night. Were you a shoe brother?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you did the whole shoe brother.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And when I think about it, that's like one of them that's so fucking gross, dude.
Oh, for sure.
Yes,
It's
it
fucking
is.
disgusting.
Matt, I remember Matt when he did it. He's like, dude, I still can't believe I did that. Fucking
I know,
disgusting.
dude. I mean, Stan would literally take that boot, that nasty, gross ass boot off of his foot, and we would fill that thing up and just pass it around, and everybody would drink out. I mean,
that's total peer pressure too, because you don't want to be the guy like, nah, I don't want to.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. There's peer pressure, and it's like I'm surprised I didn't get leprosy or some shit like that. I mean, it's like just so gross, man. Just so gross.
Yeah, it is gross. Man, I forgot to grab it, but Matt, I remember Matt. I think at one point he tried to print some Spazztic demo cover shirts for you guys. I think at one point.
Yeah.
I think he did some, and I was like, hey, I want a red one. And I was like, yeah, and I remember I don't know if he gave it to me or what, but man, I put that fucking thing on, and the fucking print was like.
Was that your sideways print shirt?
but I'm like, what's more perfect than that for a Spazztic Blurr shirt?
That totally works. Yeah. That works for them.
It's amazing to me too, because people are so fucking awesome. There's so many great people in this world, and when we reunited in the mid 2010s, right? We got booked to go back to Baltimore and play Maryland Death Fest. which is a super huge deal, right?
Sure.
I mean,
Yeah. That's really cool.
largest thrash metal festivals in the United States, and we were playing with I think we were playing with DRI and Melt Banana. I don't know if you've ever had a chance to see Melt Banana, but they're insane. But anyway, a fan came up to our merch booth and he had made 4 Bedrock Blur shirts, the cover of the Bedrock Blur demo on black shirts with glow in the dark ink, and just gave them to us. So I
Oh wow, that's really cool.
One of a kind, one off Bedrock Blur shirt that's glow in the dark. It's rad, you know. And you know, yeah, he just gave it to us. It's just the coolest thing ever, you know.
Did you guys
I
ever
love
get
that.
those bootleg LPs? Did you ever come across the bootleg Spazztic demo LPs?
There's the one bootleg LP that I'm definitely aware of is the 2-sided one with Brutal Truth.
Yeah, which I didn't understand that pairing, but whatever.
Yeah, kind of weird. So it's Brutal Truth on one side, Bedrock Blur on the other side, the demo. I've never been able to attain a copy of it. I did one time see a copy of it on eBay, and I was going to just go ahead and buy it because I just wanted it for my own personal collection.
Yeah.
By the time I went and went to go buy it, somebody else had snagged it already. So the only other way, you know, there might be, I think there are a couple bootleg LPs of the demo. The only other one that you'll find, and is the best quality one, is on this, and that's the Hello Dum Dums, because it is remastered, and we remastered the demo.
Show it one more time so everybody can see it.
Yeah.
What's the back look like again?
So this is interesting. So Tito, so this is the back. So Marco did what kind of? So here we've got. This is over here is the Bedrock Blur demo, right? And so this is spruced that up a little bit. That's the cover of the Bedrock Blur demo. Down here we've got some pictures of the 4 of us. You know, from that. These are actually all pictures from Europe, that 1991 tour. Now this side over, and then we've got Hello Dum Dums, which is the other side. This is the new recordings where we re-recorded, you know, some of the old classics like, you know, Bedrock Blur, Let There Be Blur, Fuck Yeah, and then some new songs. Now Tito didn't actually sing on this. We had our new singer Chris Marrow, and Chris Marrow, even though it's a new singer, he actually ran the Spazztic Blur fan club back in the day. He's like one of our oldest friends. He was part of that circle of us back then. Ran the Spazztic Blur fan club, and so he stepped in. You know, Tito's living in Las Vegas at the time, and so Chris stepped in. He's an amazing singer, you know, fucking fantastic, and so that's who's singing on the second LP with all the new stuff. So
I remember, is Tito still living in Vegas?
Tito's still living in Vegas. Yeah, I just talked to him the other day.
I remember, so I was in touch with him for a little while. He was in Vegas. I said, hey, man, because I know he was a DJ out there.
That's right.
Hey, have you ever used that Spazztic intro like at one of your shows? He's like, holy shit, how come I never thought about that? Hello, Caesar's Palace or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. He's like, holy shit, I never thought of that. He goes, I should do that. I don't know if he ever did or not, but
you know that's
probably
funny.
Not.
You know, earlier before you came on, you know, we were talking about some of the dumbass stuff that's on the album, you know, and I was saying, you know, we
Caesar's Palace.
Most of that stuff on the fly, you know, most of that stuff.
Yes, I heard that.
So that intro to Blur Hogs, when I was showing the cover, the back cover, you know, the guy sitting up here on the top, EC, he's the one that did the intro to the album, all that me stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was him.
That's one of the. I have a friend that had that as their when you used to have answering machine. That was his answer. That was his music on his answering machine. He's like, what the fuck? Who did I just call? That
I remember when I first put that on, it's like, what the hell am I listening to? This is crazier than the demo, man.
Right.
So one thing, if I may, one thing I wanted to ask is, you know, all the crazy shit. One of the coolest things I've ever seen done, like on an insert, was on the Spazztic LP, where the detail you put into the lyric sheet, like, you know, like ball scratch and fucking finger pops or whatever.
That's right.
Was that like a band thing, or did somebody say, hey, we need to do this?
That was actually all me.
Really? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Shit.
And I was still living at home. We were still all in high school and shit, you know. So I was still living at home, and I remember sitting at the kitchen table in the kitchen, and my mom had an electric typewriter, right? Because back then we're talking what 87 or something like that, you know. And I typed up the entire lyric sheet, and I remember listening. You know, I had like a test pressing of the album. Earache sent us over a test pressing after, you know, we gave them the master reels. Actually, we didn't give them the master reels. We gave them a copy of the master reels. I still have the actual master reels to the album in my closet. But I sat down at the kitchen table, and if you look at that lyric sheet, you can kind of tell it was done on a typewriter. I mean, it was all just like on a shoestring, right? And so, no, I just went through and listened to everything and just kind of came up with trying to narrate the side effects of all the, you know, or the sound effects of what we were doing, you know, because it was just
it was just, I thought it was fucking genius as fuck. I was like, holy shit. Just sitting there, back when I could read the lyric sheet without having to use like
do that number. Yeah, I know.
Whoa. Yeah, I was like, this is fun. It just made me laugh. I was like, this is just too much. And I know you guys mentioned earlier that Earache is like, not only the Spazztic LP kind of gets kind of left in the closet.
Yeah, it doesn't get enough.
Also, the
wreck.
The Old Lady Drivers LP also kind of gets that treatment. Those are one of the two most like original albums that Earache ever put out, I think.
Well, Lawnmower Death too. You know, I mean, you know, Lawnmower Death was pretty rad. So there's that one.
Yeah, I don't know why you know, they feel that it doesn't need, but it needs to get some promotion or a re-release or a special edition or something.
No, you know, it is so. Honestly, I think probably what it really is, like, it's easy to categorize Napalm Death. You know, it's easy to categorize a lot of that early, you know, thrashcore stuff. Spazztic Blurr is like really kind of weird to pin down, like, because there's surf music and there's all this goofy shit going on, and it's not very serious and dark like a lot of that stuff was back then. And so I kind of feel like maybe they just really don't know what to do with it, which was kind of by design. We kind of wanted to throw a loop, you know, into everything that was going on at the time anyway. So I don't know. Maybe we accomplished that. I don't know.
Yeah, but
and also you're like poking fun at like the stuff that you actually liked, like the generic punk, whatever, and then
like in Mexicali,
the Slayer thing and all that.
Yeah, we're totally making fun. Yeah.
Mexicali is like literally everything that happened, like back then. All the metal guys went and shaved their heads and, you know, got combat boosted suspenders, and I used to crack up because it's so true.
Yeah, we were making.
Oh man, I've been out of that since '82.
Yeah, I mean,
man, that's heavy metal. Come on.
There was a you know, fairly big, like, you know, skinhead contingency in Portland at the time back then. You know, there was kind of everywhere, and we hated that shit. You know, it was like, you know, all tough and wanted to, you know, beat up the metalheads and shit like that. And so we were like, maybe they'll kick our ass, but we're gonna just make fun of them anyway. You know, it's just, you know, who gives a shit?
Well, I mean, we definitely.
You guys kind of put a. Oh, I'm sorry, Carl. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that definitely happened in San Antonio, where a bunch of former metalheads all were skinheads. You know, like 2 or 3 years later, and they were acting like, you know, metalheads were pussies, and it's like, whoa, you guys were metalheads. This is ridiculous. So when I heard that, I just like, oh my god, I started laughing my ass off because it's perfect, man.
Yeah,
dude, it's you guys actually mentioned. I don't know if it's still open or not, but you mentioned your local record store, 2nd Avenue.
Oh yeah,
record as well.
Yeah.
So how big of a, I guess, how did that record store play an important like part in you guys growing up?
Absolutely epic. Like really, it was ground zero for that whole scene. You know, I would go into 2nd Avenue Records and just start thumbing through stuff. And if the cover looked cool, I would buy it. You know, I mean, it was just like, you know, anything from like, I mean, I remember like the first time I saw, you know, the first Iron Maiden album I saw was Killers. And I was like, I'd never heard it. And I was like, that looks badass. I'm buying it. But, you know, the thing is, you know, 2nd Avenue Records would carry everything from all the local bands, everything, demo tapes, cassettes, vinyl, whatever. And so if you were a local band and you wanted to get heard in the scene, you wanted to get your stuff in 2nd Avenue, they promoted it, they sold it, they put it in the window. I mean, 2nd Avenue, cool. I mean, honestly, 2nd Avenue is really like a pillar of the Portland, you know, music scene back then. I mean, they're still open today. And there's not a lot of record stores open. You know, they almost had to close because they had to move buildings and stuff a couple times, but I believe they are still open.
Yeah, I think we both have a. I mean, Carl's got Hog Wild. Right,
Hog
in
Wild
San
was our
Antonio,
store like that.
and
Yep.
then we still have Sound Exchange in Houston. So
Yeah. And then
that's cool.
as
Yeah,
far
I
as
always thought it was cool that you guys were like mentioning a record store. You know.
Yeah, and as far as venues go, it was Satyricon. It was all about Satyricon. That was really kind of the CBGB of the Pacific Northwest music scene. You know, everybody played there, from not just locally, but you know, anybody that came through. There was anybody in that scene, from Raw Power to Necros to Doctor No to The Accused to Cryptic Slaughter to, you know, everybody. And we opened, you know, all the local bands. We always opened for those shows, and it was just, yeah, it was such a great time, such a great scene back then. Just amazing memories.
Yeah, shows back then were well attended.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Compared to now, like it's just the facts. They were just way more well attended because there was really not much other to do besides go to a show.
yeah.
You didn't
You know,
have all these other things.
Shows would be over 21, but I use air quotes because
Yeah, that's how that works.
like they fucking let everybody in. It was
Hell, the band wasn't even 21.
no shit, dude. I mean,
That's right. Francisco, half the bands weren't even
Yeah,
not
we-
even close to 21
Not
back
even.
then.
yeah, I mean, like I said, you know, I was still in high school when Spazztic formed, and we were playing
Yeah.
all those shows, you know, so I wasn't even close to 21, you know, so.
Yeah, that's crazy. Did you?
There's a good- Oh, go ahead,
Did you
Francisco.
guys? Were you
Go ahead.
guys, I guess, aware of the early like Portland punk bands? You know, punk hardcore bands that you guys had. Well, obviously Poison Idea and the like early on.
hmm Yeah, you know, it's funny because my mom was the one that really kind of got me into music, and you know, my mom turned me on to the Ramones and the Clash and the Sex Pistols and Patti Smith.
Oh.
And this is when I was
Okay,
like
cool.
in my early, you know, like 10, 11, 12, 13, like those years. Like my mom was turning me on to really cool stuff. And when we moved out to Portland, you know, in, I want to say it was like 83, she took me to see bands. And so I'm trying to think. So there was like, there was the Rats in Portland. There was the Neo Boys was in Portland.
Was,
Sailor Nation.
Lockjaw.
Here's
Lockjaw.
a funny story. I played in Lockjaw for a hot minute.
What?
Yeah.
Holy shit!
Here's a story. So many people don't know this. So Lockjaw, the singer for Lockjaw lived literally on the other side of the street from me and just up the block, like same block, but on the other side of the street. And, you know, like on the corner, we were on opposite corners. And they heard Spazztic practicing in my house all the time because that's where we practiced, and they needed a drummer. And so the singer came over and asked me, he's like, hey, do you want to play drums for us? I was like, sure. I said, hell, we can even practice here because, you know, my drums are set up here and all that kind of stuff. And so they showed up, and as we all know, Lockjaw has a rather, how shall I put this, controversial history within that whole Nazi skinhead scene back then. And I remember them showing up, and like, you know, we started practicing and stuff. And I remember like the first time I was like, but I hadn't really heard them as much. And I remember the first time I heard like this next song's called Bats Ain't for Baseball. And I was like, that's an interesting song title, Bats Ain't for Baseball. And that's my brother commenting there.
Oh wow! Okay, yeah. I was wondering, is it this family?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And then I remember like a couple practices later, one of the guys showed up and like he had like a Nazi swastika thing on his leather jacket, and I was like, oh fuck, man. But I had committed to play this show, and it was a show with, I want to say it was Final Warning and Poison Idea, and I had committed to play the show. So now I'm like, fuck, man. I'm like 17. I'm like, these guys are gonna kick my ass, you know, if I back out of the show. So I'm like, I gotta play this show. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm not into this shit at all, you know?
Yeah.
So the show was at Satyricon, and we went down to Satyricon, and I thought, what I'm going to do, this is fucking stupid. I'm surprised they didn't beat the shit out of me. I went to the show, and I showed up wearing my Dead Kennedys Nazi Punks Fuck Off shirt.
Okay.
And I played the show. And I remember them fucking looking at me, just giving me the fucking eye. And I remember, like, in the crowd, there were the skinheads there, and they were doing this bullshit and everything. And I played the show because I didn't want to get my ass kicked. And then I packed up my drums and headed the fuck out, and they never talked to me again, and I never talked to them again. And that was that. So, yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
What a story.
I know.
Holy shit.
I'm still alive.
All of a sudden, you're roped into the Nazi skinhead culture out of nowhere. Like, what the fuck?
Shit. No shit.
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you know, my mom took me to all kinds of shows back then. I remember my mom taking me to see Black Flag and Poison Idea. You know, shortly after we moved out here, I was still in the 8th grade, you know, and so.
Damn.
God damn. That's a.
My mom is really cool. You know, she's really into music. She's, you know, like I said, I went to Patti Smith when I was with my mom when I was probably 11 or 12, maybe.
That's pretty
You
cool.
know, stuff like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, they have your young mind to witness like Black Flag in their prime and Poison Idea.
That was like 80. That was like 83, probably.
Wow.
Maybe early 84. Maybe.
Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild.
That smokes anything I experienced at that time. I was at Judas Priest or something. You know?
I was too. I was into the metal. Don't get me wrong. That's, you know.
Yeah.
What was your first show, like big arena show that you remember?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Well, that would be Kiss in 1977.
Holy shit.
So
Dude, you saw the Live 2 tour.
Yeah, dude, I was a Kiss kid, man. I was born in 68. So in 77, I was 9, right? And my Uncle Ed he was the one that kind of also was getting me into music. He turned me on to the Plasmatics, Kiss, AC/DC, Judas Priest, stuff like that, right? And Kiss was coming to town in 77, and I was like begging, like, please go, you know? And so my mom drew straws with her partner at the time to see who was going to take me and my brother to Kiss. And my mom won and did not have to take me, and her partner did. And that was my first show, Kiss in 77. Changed my
Holy
fucking
shit.
life.
That's a mind blower for a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like their top stage show almost at that time, and wow, that's
with
amazing, dude.
the lighted stairs coming down on you.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's the centerfold of Alive too. You saw that? Wow, live.
Didn't I think Charles, my buddy Charles, I think you saw the tour too. Didn't Plasmatics tour with Kiss like later on?
Kiss in I think 81 on the Creatures of the Night
Yeah,
tour.
that's where I saw him.
That's when Vinnie Vincent first showed up, right? Is that the
Yes,
story?
yes. He was.
I remember my friend wanted to see. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna get to see Ace."
Yeah.
And like all of a sudden, they didn't announce that Ace wasn't in the band anymore.
Right. Yeah.
And
No,
he's like, who the hell's this guy?
Who's this Egyptian guy? What?
Yeah.
What's going on here?
So yeah, I saw Kiss in 77, and then I saw them again in 1980 on the Dynasty tour. And
Kisco. Nice.
Yeah, for Kisco, right? And then after Dynasty, that's when things started to shift for me musically. I was getting more into like Ramones, Clash, Sex Pistols. Then I started, you know, getting into the heavier stuff, like the, you know, 83. I started getting into Metallica, and you know, and I was a metalhead kid too. I liked Priest and Ozzy, and you know, all that kind of stuff. But by the time Slayer and all that kind of came out, like the stuff what Kiss was doing just was like ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
I didn't see this again until '96 when they reunited, and I went and saw them. I think I saw them all 3 tours they did when they reunited with Ace and Peter. So I saw them in '96, '98, and 2000.
You saw the real Kiss reunited. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, yeah. I think my brother did one of those with me too. So.
Yeah, I went through that stage too, where I was like, you know, I was a heavy metal kid, and then like all the thrash came out, and I was like, I was basically Ace. I don't like that stuff no more, even though I really did. But I wasn't gonna go around and tell all my thrasher buddies, "Come on, guys, this Judas Priest is still pretty good." When we're all listening to Bathory and Celtic Frost.
Yeah.
Probably
my biggest, you know, one of my biggest influences, especially as a bass player, is Maiden. You know, I'm an absolutely huge.
Oh
Maiden
yeah, Steve Harris is crazy great.
You know, and so I love everything from the start, going all the way through the '80s. The Blaze Bayley albums, not so much, but you know, some of the last couple albums they put out, like Power. I thought Book of Souls was absolutely fantastic. Loved it. The last album, Senjutsu. I've seen Maiden on their last 4 tours. I don't miss them ever.
Well, you're gonna get a show when you see Maiden.
Oh yeah, dude,
yeah.
they're just literally the best. They're just the best.
I thought the Bruce. What was the Bruce comeback album? Brave New World.
That was Brand New World, and then they did Dances
okay.
Death or something.
I thought that was a really good comeback for them back then.
Yeah, give me anything with Bruce, you know, and Paul Di'Anno, of course.
Well, yeah, Di'Anno is like that's metal Maiden in my book. Yeah, just
100%.
I'm sure Francisco
Carl,
feels the same.
I don't know if you've asked this. I don't know if you've asked this or not, but on the Spazztic on the album, the first album, your drums. It sounds like you have like a 14-piece kit or something like that. There's so much going on.
Yeah.
What did you use? What did you use on that recording?
Let's see. So I had double kicks, obviously the snare, and then I think I had 2 smaller toms up on my left, and then 4 toms in front of me, and then 2 floor toms on my side. So yeah, I was.
So
that would
right.
be 2, 3,
Nil Pert over here.
7, 8, 9. That'd be an 11-piece kit. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it sounds like it. Because
those rolls,
a lot of the fills, a lot of the
Yeah.
rolls and stuff. It's like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Now I play on a 5-piece. I'm too old for that shit anymore.
Did you record those along with like Marco playing guitar, like the drum tracks, or?
Yeah, so we did the bass, drums, and guitars live without the vocals.
Yeah.
And so after we got just the main tracks, like we got the drums, the bass, and then like the main guitar track, and then Marco went back and did overdub guitar after that.
Yeah.
I think then Dave might have had to fix a couple of things here and there, and then we went and did the vocals and all the stupid slide whistles and hand claps and shit.
Yeah. So how long did it take to do all those overdubs, like all the extra stuff you added? Because there's much shit on there.
Yeah, there was. We were in the studio for several weeks.
Holy shit.
Yeah, we were in the studio for weeks, and I do remember we got to a certain point and we ran out of money because, quite frankly, we spent a lot of the money that Earache sent us on drugs and booze, right? So,
of course, yes,
of course. So I remember us having to go back and we had to reach out to Dig at Earache and ask him for more money.
Wow.
Of course, we didn't tell them that we had spent it on drugs and booze, but they did. They sent us more money, and that's how we were able to finish.
Wow! Yeah. And the engineer, whoever engineered it or was recording, what was their thoughts on what?
Yeah, I want to know. Was he like pulling his hair out? Like, you want to add what and how many spots?
It was crazy. I mean, I think he was kind of like, "What the fuck are these guys doing?" Interesting story. That whole intro for He Not a Home, it's got that whole piano intro.
Yeah.
That was all done on the fly in the studio, and the engineer actually played the piano. So we had been.
Oh, nice.
We had been that used to be just a guitar intro, right? And so we had laid that down, and then we took a break for lunch, and we all left to go get probably Burger King or some shit like that. Right?
Taco Bell, Burger King.
Back, there was a grand piano in the main room, and he was rolling that intro to He Not a Home, and he was playing that piano part over the top of it, and we were like, fuck, that's got to go on the album. So that's how that wound up there. Totally.
Wow, yeah, that's cool.
In the moment,
like the single key part, like ding ding ding.
Yeah. All the whole piano interlude at the outset of that is all on the fly. Yeah.
So that's what incredible. Is that? Marco's like grandma, his mom. Who is the He Not a Home lady?
Yeah. So He Not a Home. So Marco is Italian, as many people know, right? And he speaks fluent Italian. And his mom also speaks fluent Italian, but her English is not very good. And so if you ever called Marco's house when we were kids and his mom answered the phone, and if you say, hi, can I talk to Marco? She would always say, "You're not at home. You're not at home, Marco."
That's great. I do something like that.
Because we were idiots, we wrote a song about it called "He Not at Home." That's what the song is about. Yeah.
It's very dramatic, and it has tension, and it just it's great, man. Yeah. He Not at Home.
Brutal, dude. That song, it's got like pretty piano and just some of the most fastest, intense shit ever on the same song. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's insane. It's great.
My favorite track off of that album is "He Not at Home." I mean, obviously, I love "Images" as well.
Yeah. That main riff. Wow.
But those two songs, and which is kind of funny because, again, as we were talking about at the beginning, Spazztic Blurr really only happened because Marco wrote "Images" and Brian didn't like it for Wehrmacht, and so Marco said, "Fine, I'm going to do it over here," and Spazztic Blurr was born.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. He thought he pulled.
I asked you
he
I asked
pulled
you in Houston. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say he thought he pulled the override on it, and it's like, oh no, it kind of went over here now and started. You know that's
It's a great song.
yeah. All right,
Yeah.
go ahead, Francisco.
Yeah. Anyway, so I remember asking you, and I think I don't know if I asked you or Marco, but I've listened to the album so many times that I can recite everything on it. But there was a part whenever I think it's on the Ace song where somebody says "Stop, Jake," and I'm like, who the hell's Jake? There's no Jake in the band.
No.
But I remember. So I remember you. I know the answer, but if you want to tell those nerds like me that probably were wondering who the fuck Jake is, if you could tell that story.
You know, I that's what I'm kind of having a hard time putting my finger on. I mean, I know we used to say that all the time. Stop, Jake. We'd say it all the time. It was just a saying that we had back then. You know, maybe you should tell the story because
Well, you just told me it was just something you guys said. You're like, it was just everybody was a Jake.
Everybody was a Jake. It was just something we all said.
Yeah.
You know, if we were in the middle of a song and somebody was fucking around, someone like, "Stop, Jake." You know,
yeah. So I remember who the fuck is Jake?
Yeah,
who the fuck is Jake, and why is he playing guitar on the album? I don't. But that's what it was. I'm like, oh fuck, okay, that makes sense. Because I got some friends in Houston that call everybody Bob, so it's kind of the same thing. Hey, what's up, Bob, or this and that.
Bob.
Everybody's a Bob, so it's kind of like that was your.
You know, we would say that all the time. What's up, Jake? You know, we'd say that all. It was just kind of slang that we used.
You forget someone's name. Yeah, Jake over there or whatever.
What's going on back then?
There's. I mean, I dissected that album so many times. Like, oh fuck.
Yeah, it was a great album to listen to because you always were finding something new, right? Or something like you missed the first time, third time, fifth, sixth. I don't know. So much shit going on.
You know, another funny story. You know, as long as we're talking about songs on the album, so fuck yeah. So there's a story behind that too.
Let's hear it.
Desert. People are like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Fuck yeah, this is desert. Boner time? What the hell is boner time? It's 50. What the hell? So that basically came out of when Wehrmacht went on their first tour with Cryptic Slaughter. So this is probably like maybe 85-ish. They did like a West Coast tour. They went into Arizona a little bit and stuff. And Dave, who was the bass player in Spazztic, went with him. He was kind of like one of the roadies. And when they were going through the desert, he was always like playing with himself and whipping his dick out and shit like that. And so that's where he was like, "What? Fuck yeah, it's the desert. You know, it's boner time." Shit like that. So we wrote a song about it, you know? I mean, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was really the desert.
That's right.
Right? I mean,
with the vocal effect.
Riding in a hot van through the desert knows that, your balls are going to get a little hot. So,
The desert.
Write a song about it.
Classic.
Yeah, I mean, all the stuff I'm just thinking off the top of my head, but yeah, there's so many things on that album that I'm like, I sat there with this lyric sheet, like, just what the fuck?
Yeah,
a good what the fuck.
A lot of stuff has started coming back to me that I just haven't even really thought of for a long time, but now it's some stuff is kind of coming back.
Yeah, to me. You start picking the cobwebs out and it starts becoming clearer in the mind. Yeah.
Right, Yeah.
Where is Dave these days? Is he
still here in Portland? Yeah, he's still here in Portland. He does a lot of stuff with music, but more like just home, in his studio and stuff like that. He's not like really playing out anywhere or anything like that. But he's still here in Portland. Marco's still here in Portland, of course. I talk to him all the time. Tito's in Vegas. I talk to him also a lot, So yeah, the guys are all still around. We're still totally connected.
Okay.
Did Malicious T ever release a demo as Malicious T? It never got that far. Okay.
I will say that Tito, he does some pretty awesome DJing in Vegas. He does a lot of big DJing shows and stuff. He's really
I heard about that.
Yeah, so he's really into that, and that's an art form in itself, and he's always really kind of been into that scene, which is great. I think it's good to have a diverse, interests and tastes in music and stuff. I listen to all kinds of stuff, and stuff, and so but he's really into that and does a lot of big shows in Vegas for that.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you're gonna have a party, I mean, Vegas is the place. And if you're a popular DJ there, that would probably be
Yeah.
a nice paying little situation.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And I saw, Tito was up here from Vegas a couple of years ago, and I saw him, and it was super great to see him. We went over to Marco's, and the three of us hung out for a while and stuff. And I hadn't seen him in quite a while, because he's in Vegas. And so, that's really, that was awesome, to see him.
This I don't know about this. Dylan's asking, is there a new incarnation of Spazztic playing LA later this year?
Yeah, I texted Marco. Let me see what they said. Yeah, I asked the guys if they wanted me to talk about this. So, Spazztic is currently booked to play a festival in LA later this year. Now, this is not something that we haven't really talked about, but I've had some health issues going on the last several years, and I'm still playing music and everything like that, but and still playing drums. I have another band that I'm playing drums in. It's not anything remotely in this genre, but we've released 3 albums and doing a lot of playing and stuff like that with them. But I was going to play bass for Spazztic in this incarnation because I don't think I'm really physically able to play drums right now for Spazztic. Basically, my situation is that I've got kidney disease, and this right here, what you see behind me, that's my dialysis machine. I'm actually on dialysis.
I'm over here thinking that was your big printer or something.
Yeah, it kind of looks like a printer. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, dude, that sucks. I'm sorry to hear that.
I actually don't have any kidneys anymore. My kidneys had to all be taken out a couple of years ago. I've had a couple of kidney transplants that didn't work out, and I'm currently on the transplant list waiting for another chance at another kidney. I'm doing okay. I'm doing fine, but there's a difference between doing fine and playing drums for Spazztic Blurr.
Yeah, I can see. Yeah.
Physical, task. And I was playing drums for Spazztic when we reunited in the mid-teens and whatnot, but I don't think I could do it now. But the problem with that is that I have to run dialysis 5 days a week because I don't have any kidneys, right? And so travel for me is a real issue. And so to travel to LA to play a festival like that and everything, I actually just told the guys, like about a week and a half ago, that I really think it's probably a good idea for me to bow out. As much as I hate to bow out, because there's never been a Spazztic Blurr show without me, playing drums or even anything, without me at all.
Yeah.
But they have my blessing. My hope is that I'm going to get a kidney, and if I've told them that, if there's opportunities again for us to, play in the future, I'm fucking down 100%, because I have to play music. I just can't not, it's like
For
I
sure.
said, I'm still playing drums. I've been playing music, ever since, all through the 90s, all through the 2000s. There's probably only been maybe a period of about 6 months when I have not been actively in a band playing music. It's my passion. So, no matter what kind of music I'm playing, I have to play.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of in all our blood, If
Yeah.
you've been doing it since the 80s or 90s or whenever,
Yeah. And
I couldn't imagine just giving up everything. Like, well, I'm done with that.
No. And, and honestly, to be perfectly honest, there's really nobody I would rather play with again than Tito and Marco and all those guys. I mean, like I said, I love them like brothers. They're some of my oldest friends. They're amazing musicians. We've done great stuff together, and my hope is that at some point in the future I'll be able to do it again. So yeah.
This would be really awesome. Like what Dylan's saying, he says he wants Spazztic to play with Insecticide in Portland in April 2020. Oh man, that'd be a great show.
Oh yeah.
Imagine that, Francisco.
Yeah.
I think Insecticide played with Wehrmacht back in like '87 or something.
I think they did. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be. Hopefully that'll happen. Who knows? Who knows?
Tito,
that'd be nice.
Tito had one of the most, I guess, recognizable voices, I would say, back then.
Yep.
It was, everybody tried to have their own sound, but that guy, he had a pretty good range, I would say, because there was like some. I know you mentioned there was you guys played Christmas Day in Europe, but one of my all-time favorite soundboard tapes is a Wehrmacht tape from Christmas '86 in Portland, and Tito is just like It's like it's one of the greatest soundboards like ever. Everything.
I think I
great.
remember that one. Yeah,
But
that was a
that
popular
guy
one.
there could scream, and then even in Spazztic he showed a little different range or whatever. So it was
it's not Wermach vocals.
No, I mean,
no, not at all.
It's not. It is very different. But yeah, you listen to that Beer Mock demo and both Shark Attack and the Beer Mock album.
Dude, his vocals on the demo are insane.
Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. And and it was great. What I really loved about Tito and Spazztic is that he when it was time for him to do that screamy type stuff, he did it. But there was also the surf type stuff and the funk type stuff and the different the different styles that we were trying to kind of throw into that swimming pool of whatever, and he was really very versatile, and when we reunited in the 2010s, and when Chris was singing for us, he picked that right up too. He was capable of doing the same thing.
Well, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, both of them are just phenomenal vocalists. They really are. Yeah, love them all. They're all great.
Yeah, because I mean, it's ingrained in my DNA. The Night of Pain screams.
Yes.
You're like, whoosh. I heard that
the
one.
song, right?
Yeah.
Oh God, nuts. Yeah. Yeah, it's like a truck on gravel, man. Just
so, then he went to I'm Tapehead Tito,
blood-sucking mosquito.
Look, yeah.
I mean, it just shows
even the Marco song. He had a little melody in that song too. Singing that melody.
Yeah.
He did a pretty good job on that too. And he was. How old was he when he 18 maybe when you guys
we were all like 17, 18 at the time.
Yeah.
Still in high school or just graduating from high school, and just we had no idea what we were doing, and somehow this thing just exploded, and next thing you know, we're in Europe and touring all over the place, and it's just I don't know, man. I got nothing. I don't know, man.
Hey, I'm about to head out, Carl, but I got one question for when Brian ended up playing drums in that what's that band? Real popular band.
Everclear.
Do you remember?
Yeah, they brought that. Yeah.
Oh, did you guys bring that up already?
No. They asked
okay. What were you guys thinking when that happened? Do you remember? It's like wasn't it? Well, I can't remember the name of the band.
It was Everclear.
Everclear. Yeah. Do you guys remember that happening?
We had talked about this a little earlier that, Sweaty Nipples kind of formed out of Wehrmacht and Spazztic Blurr, right? And so I was in, so let me see if I can remember all of this. I was in Spazztic and Sweaty. I also played drums for Wehrmacht as well. And then Dave was in Spazztic and Sweaty. Marco was in Wehrmacht and Spazztic. And Tito was in Spazztic and Wehrmacht. So it was all very incestuous, right? But then Sweaty kind of exploded in the early 90s, right? And they were really, really popular all the way through the 90s. And then in late 97, Sweaty decided to call it quits. And we played our final show. Sweaty brought back all the past members, including me and everything. We had this big celebration at La Luna in Portland. And Everclear, it was super huge at the time. They were like on the radio playing.
Yeah, that was a big rock band.
All that kind of stuff. But we were friends with them, and so they agreed to open the show under the pseudonym of the Hesher Kings. And
okay.
Everclear, nobody knew it was Everclear until they came out on stage.
Yeah.
And then Sweaty played, and we all broke up. And then Sweaty continued to get bigger, and they hired Davey, who was the guitar or the bass player for Sweaty, to play a second guitar in Everclear. And they hired Brian. He didn't play drums, but he played percussion. So he was like on the side, just like doing percussion stuff. And I thought it was great for both of them. I mean, they got to do David Letterman and Saturday Night Live, and they played Woodstock and toured all over the place and stuff. I mean, it's really, really cool. But really, Everclear is a one-man band. It's Art Alexakis, and everybody else is pretty much just a hired gun. And after a while, he fired everybody and hired a bunch of new people. And
Wait, Dave was in Everclear also?
Not Dave. Davey Laprizzi, who was in Sweaty Nipples.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. I didn't know they. Yeah, I remember hearing about that. I was like, whoa.
And I've been in some other bands that played with Everclear as well, like in the early 2000s and 2010s and stuff like that. Played with Everclear a few times and stuff. So, that Portland scene is very incestuous.
Yeah, I don't.
Cool.
I have a different view. Like, oh, sell out, sell out. I mean, but when I see like people have been doing it for decades, and they get an opportunity to make some money,
Mm-hmm.
I really ain't gonna hold it against them. I think
Wow.
sometimes they earned their time. How do you feel about that, Francisco? Because
I mean,
I think.
Dude, he sold me on. They got to play on David Letterman.
Right. I mean,
I mean,
what are you gonna
how
say?
cool is that?
I got my underground cred, but I could have played on Dave Letterman, but I got an underground cred. Nah, fuck that.
Yeah, no, fuck that. I'm gonna go fucking play on David Letterman.
Right.
David Letterman was God to me when I was a kid.
Take Rob, for example. He was the bass player for Cryptic Slaughter back in the day.
Yep.
He went on to play bass for Rob Zombie and Ozzy Osbourne and stuff like that. And I've known him since we were all in high school and everything. And, do I fault him for, selling out and playing? Dude, I'll go play with Rob Zombie right now. Thank you very much. Dude played with Ozzy. Are you kidding me? Like,
send me to the dreadlock guy. I'm there, man.
And, here's the thing. I've been playing music my whole life. And I would get bored if I played the same kind of music for 40 years. I've played bass, I've played drums, I've played in all different kinds of bands. I played in thrash bands, metal bands, power pop bands, electronic pop bands, acoustic and Americana bands. And if it's good music to me, if it's good music, it's good music, and it doesn't matter the genre. It doesn't matter. I'm going to see Neil Young in September. I fucking love Neil Young. He's one of my musical heroes. Has nothing to do with Slayer, who I also happen to love. So it's like I listen to and want to play. If it's good, I want to play it.
Of course.
I find myself being more closed-minded as I get older, which is weird because it shouldn't be that way. But I mean, goddamn, I'm not gonna care. I don't really care what someone listens to. I care about like if they're making music I like. That's what really matters to me.
The thing is, and this is the way I've always looked at it, music is supposed to connect with people, right? In whatever way, shape, or form it connects with you. If it makes you laugh, if it makes you cry, if it gives you some kind of emotional response, or if it just makes you want to bang your head against the wall, music is supposed to connect with people. And if it connects, it doesn't matter what kind of music it is. If it connects with somebody, if somebody likes it, then it's worth it. And it's that's the way I see it.
Here's a good question. Did you see Merciful Fate in Portland in the 80s?
Yes, I did. Very first show in the United States at the Starry Night. Interestingly,
That was the first show?
it was their very first show in the United States.
Damn, I didn't know that part. Wow,
Yeah, I actually still have a flyer for it, but it's tucked away in my closet somewhere. Slayer was supposed to open. At the time, they had only released Show No Mercy, but they had to cancel for some reason. I can't remember why. And then another band called Final Warning opened. But yes, I did see that first Merciful Fate show in Portland. Yeah, I was there.
What are your thoughts on Merciful Fate drummer?
What's that?
What are your thoughts on their drummer, Kim Ruz? I think he's one of the most underrated drummers ever.
Yep.
Fantastic. Those first two Merciful Fate albums, Melissa and Don't Break the Oath, absolutely love them. To me, they remind me a lot of kind of like musically, they're very kind of Iron Maiden-ish in how they wrote songs and stuff. But yeah, he's a fantastic drummer.
Yeah.
I mean, all the musicians in those first two albums, they're all top players on their instruments. Like,
Absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. Yeah. Yeah, and I saw Metallica's show at that same venue where I saw Merciful Fate. I want to say that was the last show of the Ride the Lightning tour. I think it was late '84, maybe early '85, and it was Metallica and Armored Saint. That was probably that's like a 1,200 seat venue, something like that.
I saw Metallica on Ride Lightning tour. Fought my way to keep my spot up front, and the only real memory I have is James stage diving at the end of the show, and Kirk Hammett telling people all throughout the show, guys, stop spilling your beers on my pedals. I don't know why that stuck in my head, but I still remember that.
I was in the pit most of the time, just going nuts. I don't even know if I watched that much because I was just going crazy in the pit.
shit. Well, hey, Carl, I'm gonna step out.
All right.
Eric.
Thanks.
Awesome talking to you. Said love Spazztic Blurr. It was cool that I got to book a show with you playing bass for Wehrmacht.
Yeah,
I think it's been like 11 years ago. I think it's been already.
Yeah.
I don't know, but anyhow, yeah. Thanks, Carl, for letting me come on and ask a couple of.
Yeah, I figured you would enjoy this. So yeah.
Yeah, of course, dude. Of course.
Yeah.
Let there be Blur. We are the Blur Hogs.
Thanks, Francisco.
And our motto is: if you're serious, you lose. All right, later.
Take it easy, man. Funny he said if you're serious, you lose, because that saying actually came from Tito's mom.
Wow, that's another bomb right there. Really?
Yeah, that was something that she used to say, was if you're serious, you lose, and we kind of adopted that into the band. Yeah.
Wow. I thought it was just like, making fun of the scene. I mean, I know it is, but the origin is like awesome. That's cool. I didn't know that.
Kind of morph it into that, like, why is everybody got to, be so serious about everything,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the big problems. I still follow like underground metal, and I know you got to be serious to a point, but sometimes it's like, it's a little ridiculous, guys. Cool out. Come on, man.
Who can wear the most leather? Who can wear the most spikes? Who can be
Who's the most evil? Who drinks the most goat blood? And all that. Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I love Dark Angel, Darkness Descends, one of my favorite thrash metal albums ever. Slayer, of course. I love all that stuff. But at the same time, it's like, hey, let's have a good time.
Yeah. I mean, there's room for everything. That's how I always feel like, that's why, like my show is mostly known for people call me the black metal guy and this and that. But at the same time, dude, I love Spazztic Blurr, and things like that too, because that's fun, I am not, I don't have to pretend to, be some grim person all the time. It's just, you can laugh and enjoy yourself and laugh at stupid shit too. People do funny things, laugh at it.
Yeah. I mean, people, be like all serious about that kind of stuff, and then they go to work at the bagel shop. It's
but they're king, dragon, dungeon, evil, and on Facebook, but they work at the bagel shop all day. Yeah, okay.
Absolutely, 100%.
Well, I think we covered a lot here. I don't know, is there anything else you would like to bring up? Or the chat. You got a couple questions before we start, winding down here. If you got. Bring up a good question.
Do I still stand by Burger King? And I would say, oh hell yeah, man! I'll eat Burger King any goddamn day.
You need a Burger King sponsorship.
No shit. Yeah.
That would be awesome to get a tour sponsored by Burger King.
I do have over the years, people would give me Burger King shit all the time, and I've got buttons and Burger King crowns and Burger King balls,
nice,
all this shit. Because people would just always gift me Burger King stuff, and I held on to all of it. It's because it's there's a lot of memories associated with that, and I'm kind of a sentimental guy, and so I've hung on to all that shit.
Yeah, I used to like to go to Burger King and get all their tie-ins, like their Simpsons figures. I used to do that, and but the DC superheroes would always have shit with Burger King. I'd be like, oh, gotta go Burger King, get Batman or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, one of my favorite things is when we did that new album, we actually did a new logo, which is...
Let me put your solo so they can get a good look at it. Oh, yeah, there you go. See?
Logo, but Spazztic Blurr. So, we kind of held on to that for a while, it was kind of funny. Yeah.
Yeah, Burger King's good American burger place.
Burger King got some sick toys.
And nothing beats a flame grilled burger. You can't beat it, I mean...
What are you going to do? And stay, no matter what, anytime you order fries, there's always one fucking onion ring in there, too.
Yeah, dude. They always manage to slip one in somehow, don't they?
All the time.
Let me see. Okay. Any crazy stuff you remember seeing from behind the drum set, PAs, stack dives, or whatever, playing shows, crazy stage shit going down?
I'd say probably the craziest thing I remember when we were opening for Corrosion of Conformity, and this was at the Pine Street Theater. I was not feeling good that I was sick, kind of sick.
Okay.
I remember in the middle of the set, I threw up, and I threw up all over my drum set, and every time I hit my snare drum, there was just balls flying all over the place. Because you can't stop it. I mean, it was sold out, however many people were there, everybody's going nuts, and so, yeah, that's probably the craziest thing. That I'll never forget.
Wow. And Was it grossing you out again, smelling it hitting you, and I just
Getting it off of my drum set was like the worst.
oh.
That was the worst. Oh.
Skip Stone asks, ask Paul and Jimmy to do a country cover of the Blur.
So Skip is a good buddy of mine. He's just a great dude. And Paul and Jimmy are two guys that I play in a band with now. So the band that I play in now is called The Exquisite Taste of Plain Water. It's very much a, if I had, it's probably in the vein of like Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, like their early stuff.
Okay, yeah, that's fun stuff. Yeah.
That's very kind of Americana, a little bit, that kind of stuff. And we've released 3 albums and whatnot, but Skip has come to he's seen Spazztic Blurr live. He knows what's what.
He knows the difference.
Yeah, he knows that. This was a pretty funny comment. That was pretty good.
Okay, this is my buddy JD, who's a drummer among a million and a great guitarist, multi-musician. He's asking, what's your opinion on kick pedals? Are you a chain strap direct drive guy? Do you prefer double pedal or dual single pedals?
That's a great question. Well, back in the day, we're talking 80s, I think my kit was strap, and I had 2 kick drums. But again, I never played drums before I was asked to play Spazztic Blurr, so I didn't know what the difference was, or if there even was a difference. It was just happened to be the pedal that I bought. And so back then, it was strap, 2 kick drums, and I had felt pads on my kick drum. Now I go with a single kick drum with a double pedal. Drives are great, but I currently play a double kick pedal. It's a DW 5000, and it's a hard beater on that. Super fast, responsive. But a lot of people swear by drive pedals. I wouldn't discount that at all. But currently, I have a chain. Yeah.
What was the time frame from when they asked you to be in the band to recording the demo? How long did you have before? Because that's a pretty badass feat.
Yeah, it was about 6 months.
6 months you learned to play drums.
6 months. From the time they asked me at a party at the Death House to when we went into the studio after school to record the demo was about 6 months. And that's amazing. I had never played drums, never played drums before that. That was my for some reason I don't know, it just kind of came naturally to me. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's probably the case. You're a natural on the drum kit. Were there many Spazztic shows outside of Oregon in the early days before the Reformation era? Not
really. Mostly we did stuff locally, and then we went over to Europe, and that was pretty much it. And then, of course, we, as I mentioned earlier, we went to Baltimore to play Maryland Death Fest. And I want to say that was in 2016, maybe something like that. Yeah.
Hey, this is.
We also played the Grindcore Festival in Los Angeles, I think, in '86 as well.
Grindcore?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. What was that? Was that like some seminal festival back then that they had? Or?
Basically, a festival in honor of, oh God, what's his name? Why can't I think of his name? I even have the shirt. He played in multiple grindcore bands. He was kind of referred to as the Grindfather.
What year was it?
This was 2016 when we played.
Oh, are you talking about Jesse from Napalm?
Yes, Jesse. Yeah, Jesse. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a festival that was put on in honor of Jesse Pintado. Thank you. It was a festival in honor of him. Wehrmacht had played it, I think, a couple of years before Spazztic went down and played it. So we played it in 2016. Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm hearing about that. That show was pretty awesome by the fire, from what I remember. A lot of great bands.
Excel played, Hyrax played. Yeah, there's some good bands. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Any more questions from the chat? We'll be shutting down soon. We're going on an hour and a half. Unless Eric just wants to talk about the Whopper versus the double cheeseburger versus the junior bacon cheese. We can get into the specifics, of the Burger Kings.
Look, if I'm hungry and I'm going to Burger King, I'm getting a fucking Whopper. Let's be honest here.
Have you tried the double Whopper?
I don't know if I've ever had a double Whopper. My appetite's not that big.
Yeah, I have a friend who gets double every time. I'm like, motherfucker, you're gonna clog your fucking heart. You eat doubles every day.
I'll get a double if I'm going to In-N-Out.
Well, yeah, those are little fucking kid burgers, so yeah.
Tiny, right?
Yeah.
That's a little different. So no, I don't think I've ever had a double Whopper, but yeah, Whoppers are great, man.
Yeah. That hits the spot, right? You're hungry, you get a Whopper combo, you're good to go. Oh, this is my friend James. He says, "Tell Eric found his Tom Petty Big Heartbreakers fan." All right,
Yeah,
cool.
anybody that wants to check it out, it's The Exquisite Taste of Plain Water. Our website is etpw.band, and you can, there's videos and music and all that shit on there. Again, it is nothing like Spazztic. I mean, it is definitely in a completely different vein, but I do love it. It's fantastic. It's been one of my favorite bands ever.
Here's my buddy T-Bone, and maybe you can answer this. Which part of America has the most robust underground music scene, in your opinion?
Oh man, that's a big one. I mean, obviously LA had a huge punk scene in the 80s. There's so many bands that came out of LA, from
It was pretty massive. Yeah.
Circle Jerks, Black Flag, and Dead Kennedys, and all that stuff. I mean, Portland had a great scene. There's Poison Idea and Wehrmacht and Spastic and lots of other stuff. And then, I mean, if you want to say ever, I mean, you could say that grunge scene in Seattle was pretty underground before it exploded.
It was underground music scene, yeah, before it became, yeah.
There was Nirvana was underground, Alice in Chains, Pearl Jam. There was, God, I'm having a brain fart here, but there was Green River. There was Mookie Blaylock. That was Pearl Jam before they were.
Yeah,
born.
before. Yeah.
So Love on Ice, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, there's a lot.
Weren't the Melvins like proto?
Yep.
Proto all that stuff too.
Yep. Yeah, Q's, of course.
Yeah, the Q's. Okay.
Yeah,
Grind Crusher comp. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, they did put us on the Grind Crusher comp. I actually have 2 different vinyl pressings of the Grind Crusher Mother Love Bone. Yeah, 2 different pressings of that Grind Crusher LP on vinyl. With Spazztic on it, so that's kind of part of my collection.
Yeah, I mean, that was a good way. Those Grind Crusher comps really did get the music out to a lot of people.
A lot of people, for sure. I was really happy that they included us in that.
Yeah, well, we're gonna have to start. Everybody in the chat, send those random emails to Eric's publicity page and say, "Hey, man, we need some Spazztic Blurr reissues." And nice reissues, not just the same one. We want expanded packaging and all that stuff, and liner notes, and come on.
Yeah, flood the Eric Facebook page, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, they're even better. Yeah, hit them directly up.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And Francisco, that part always cracks me up because the teacher's all calm. Class. Jesus Christ, son of a bitch. Still good laughs to this day, Eric. Still brings the laughs.
Yeah.
All right. I think we covered a lot, dude. I really appreciate you taking the time to come on here and do a little chatting with the witching hour. It's really cool.
I really appreciate it. It's been a really great conversation. I really appreciate it. It's brought up a lot of great memories, and seeing Francisco and stuff. Haven't seen him since we were down in Houston, with Wehrmacht and whatnot.
Yeah.
So just great times, and I really appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go ahead and back Dylan's sentiments. Eric, seriously think about getting that Euro tour footage out there. I think a lot of people would like that.
Yeah, Timo and I have talked about that a lot over the years, and it's it's something we should probably think about doing.
Yeah, strike while the iron's hot, right?
That's right.
Yeah, dude. Thanks again, man. I learned things I had no idea about. That's why I love
Yeah.
Not to sound like a nerd, but bringing on the shit I used to love when I was a kid.
Yeah, I mean, so much about Spazztic is inside jokes and inside secrets. So a lot of that stuff to the general populace out there, they have no idea, So it's great to be able to kind of talk about some of that stuff. I appreciate it.
All right, guys. That's the show. Oh, well, Francisco brought that because I was friends with Tito. I was actually on the thanks list on their Spazztic album. Carl Snyder.
Yes.
Look me up. I'm there. All right. Thank you. All right, I'm going to go ahead and... Well, you know what? Before we leave, we got to plug here. This is what we do. Switch over on to Johnny Hellpreacher's channel right there at the very bottom if you want to listen to some super brutal underground death and black metal. He's on right now. Saturday night on Francisco's channel, jamming out. We got San Antonio's own Bloody Freddy from Bloodspill, Miscarriage, Green Ripper, and a bunch of other shit that he's done through the years. And then Saturday night here, we have World famous artist now, really. He's doing stuff for WWE. Mark Riddick, Death Metal Artist Supreme, will be on the show. I know Mark from quite some time. It'll be fun to catch up with him. So that'll be on Saturday night on the channel at 8 p.m. Central. And that's the rundown. All right, Eric, thanks again, man.
Appreciate it. You have a great night.
All right, you too. Let me get my little outro set up, and we will be out. Thanks.
What is light without dark?